Hi, I'm Nikki from Find Me Crafting. Each month, I'm releasing patterns for the Cuddle Buddies baby blanket. It's called the Cuddle Buddies blanket because it has adorable Cuddle Buddies applique all over it. There will be 9 total animal appliques by the end of the year, and all of the patterns for this blanket are available for free on my website. I'll put the link in the description box down below. So far, we have Calico Cat and the adorable little cow. We also have a teddy bear, and there are 3 different ways to make this, 3 different variations. All of the information is already in the pattern. There's a bunny, and this month I'm releasing the pattern for the adorable little piglet. Isn't he cute? I have step-by-step tutorials to make this entire applique. Come on, I'll show you how. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any new patterns or projects. I'm going to be using Hobby Lobby's I Love This Yarn in white, soft pink, and pink. You'll also need a small amount of black for the eyes. In this video, I'm going to show you a step-by-step tutorial for how to make the pig's snout and the pig's ears. If you need some help making the pig's head, I'm going to have a link up here and in the description box down below for a step-by-step tutorial for how to make that, because the head for this is the same as the head for some of the other animals like the bunny, because I wanted them all to be about the same size. So I'll have a link for that. I do have a step-by-step tutorial for making the hooves up here. I will link that up here and the description box. It is the same as making the hooves for the cute little cow. And also the eyes, because those are the same for all of the animals. So I will have a link up here for a step-by-step tutorial for the eyes. For the snout, I'm going to be using the pink yarn and an E 3.5 millimeter hook. I'm going to start with a magic circle. If you struggle at all with magic circles, I will have a link up here for a step-by-step tutorial. Walks you through a little bit slower. I'm going to grab my yarn up from the back and do a chain 1 just to lock it in place. Now I'm ready to work into my magic circle. I'm going to put all of these stitches over both strands of yarn, my starting tail and the loop. And I'm going to do 7 single crochets. So I reached under and grabbed up a loop, yarn over, pull through. You go underneath, grab up a loop. There's 2 loops on, yarn over, pull 2. That's my second. I'm going to do 7 total. Here's 3 and 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now I'm going to pull up a loop so that I can take my crochet hook out, and I'm going to use my starting tail to tighten up my magic circle, but I don't want it to be a perfect circle, so I'm going to tighten it up most of the way so that my bottom is still somewhat open like this. And now I'm going to work back the way I just came from. So I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to turn my work, and I'm going to work my next row right here back along the stitches I just made. And I'm going to put 2 single crochets into each of these stitches. So here's 1 single crochet, and now in the same stitch I'm going to go back down and do another single crochet. So there's 2. Now in the next stitch I'm going to do 2 more. So there's 1 and 2. And then I'm going to do that for each of these stitches, which will give me a total of 14 single crochets in this row. I'm going to chain 1 at the end of that row, and I'm going to once again turn my work so that I'm working back across the top of these stitches. And for row 3, I just want to do 1 single crochet into each stitch. So that will again be 14 stitches. Now before we move on to the next section, I'm going to pull my crochet hook out, make my loop big there so it doesn't unravel. And I want to close this magic circle once and for all so it doesn't come open like this anymore. Thread your starting end onto a yarn needle, and I am going to flip to the back side here. I am going to tighten it up one more time so that the hole is closed. And now I'm going to go in this clockwise motion with my needle, go underneath these stitches and weave in my end. But because I'm going around the circle itself, it's going to lock that magic circle. And once you've gotten all the way around, you can trim this end. And it is totally closed. So now I have my hook back on, and what we're going to do is work this next row. I'm calling it row 4. It's just this underside here that we haven't worked any stitches into. So in the same stitch that you just did your last single crochet in for row 3, I'm going to do another single crochet, and then down this tiny little side I want to work 2 more single crochets and just try to space them out pretty evenly. So here's 1, down here I'm going to work number 2. This next stitch I just want to put right in the center of my magic circle, so I'm going to put my hook right into the center of that. It's going to be kind of tight because we just tightened it, and do another single crochet. And now I want to do 3 more single crochets up this tiny little side. So 1, whoops, don't split your yarn, 2, and I'm going to work my last one right here in what is actually the first stitch of row 3. And voila, you have the base of your snout done. So cut yourself a long tail so that you can use it to sew your snout onto the face, the head, in a little while. And you can finish off by pulling your yarn out. And I'm going to show you how to embroider the nostrils onto the front of the snout. So for that, I'm going to cut myself a long strand of the soft pink yarn. And you're going to thread that onto your yarn needle. This is the back of my snout, so I'm going to be looking at the front, which has your tail over here on the right. And I'm going to decide where I want my snout to be. I'm going to come up kind of over here in the second row. I'm going to come up from the back to the front. I do want to leave myself a decently long tail in the back, and I'm going to go up here a ways and go down to the back. Now I want to come back up through the back in the same exact spot that I did before and go down again through the same exact spot. And I want to do that a total of 4 times. And you can use your fingers to kind of separate the strands so that when you pull it tight, it's laying a little wider so that you can widen the nostrils, make them a little bigger. So here's my third, and I'm just going to space that on the outside. 1 more in that same spot. Now, without cutting your yarn at all, I'm just going to go over to the other side and try to put it in about the same place that I had for the right nostril, and I'm going to do the left. So I'm tangling my starting yarn. So you pull it up from the back and decide where you think is about the same place that you went last time on the right, and you go down. And then I'm just going to repeat that 3 more times so that I have a left nostril. So there you have your snout, and you can just tie the ends of the soft pink yarn on the back, your starting and ending tails. You don't even have to weave these ends in. I leave mine just a little bit longer. They're going to be trapped behind the snout as I sew it onto the head, and you're never going to see it. For the ears, we're going to be working with the soft pink yarn and a G 4mm hook. We're going to start by chaining 2. So you just need to make a slip knot and pull that up around your hook and chain 2. So 1 and 2. So in the second chain from your hook, here's where my hook goes. This is the first chain next to the hook. This is the second chain from the hook. I'm going to go into that chain and work 2 single crochets into the same chain. So there's 1 and 2. And we're going to treat that like that's a tiny little row of just 2 stitches. So chain 1 and turn your work. So you're going to be working back along those 2 stitches you just made. I'm going to do 2 single crochets into each of those 2 stitches. So here's number 1, and in that same stitch, number 2. Now I'm going to move to that second single crochet from the last row and do, go under both loops, do a single crochet there, and one more in that same stitch. So now we have a slightly bigger but still very small row. We're going to chain and turn the work. So we're working back across the top of that row. I just want to do 1 single crochet into each of those stitches. So that would be just 4 single crochets. There's 2, 3, and 4. Whoops. I'm going to chain 1 and turn the work. Now we're going to have a pattern. We're going to do 1 single crochet into this first one. In the next stitch, do 2 in the same stitch. So there's 1, and in the same stitch is my second. Now I'm going to do 1 in the next stitch and 2 in my final stitch of that row. That will give you a total of 6 single crochets. We're going to chain 1 and turn the work. Now I just want to do 1 single crochet in each of these stitches. So that is 6 single crochets for this row. 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to chain 1, but not totally turn my work. I'm going to turn it so I'm working down this side over here. So this is where we were. Turn it slightly to the right, slightly clockwise, and now you're going to work down this side. Starting in the same stitch that I put my last single crochet in, I'm going to go down and do another single crochet, and I'm going to work 4 more single crochets down this side for a total of 5. So that was number 1, number 2, 3, 4, and up here it's actually the very first chain that you did. I'm going to do 1 more for 5. So now that you have your 5th single crochet here, you're at the top of the triangle. We're going to turn our work clockwise again and work down this side. I am going to start with a chain 1 first, and then down this side I want to do 5 more single crochets, the first of which will be in the same stitch as the last single crochet we did. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that is one of our little pig's ears. You do need to make a second one of these, and you need to cut yourself a nice long tail so that you can use it to attach the ears to the head. So once you have all the pieces made, I wanted to explain how I attach them. To start, I attach the snout that already has my nostrils embroidered. I attach that to the head. I attach the eyes above the snout. Then I attach the head to the blanket itself. Then I attach each of the little hooves, and you can see I like to overlap those over the joins of the blanket so it looks like the little piggy is holding on to the frame of the blocks. And last, I attach the ears, and I just wanted to show you how I attach the ears. The process for attaching all of this will be the same as attaching the ears, except that I do fold over this little bit of edge here on the ear. So I have my long yarn tail threaded onto a yarn needle, and I'm going to just see where I want to put my ear. I like it right about here. I have it overlapped a little bit with the head so it looks like it's all one piece. And I am just going to fold my outside edge over just a little bit. See if I can match up what I did on the other side. And I'm going to attach it just like this. So I'm going to take my yarn needle and go down through the blanket to the back. And pull my yarn tail through. And then I'm just going to move over a little bit to the right so I can get underneath the next stitch. And I'm gonna come up from the back to the front. And I'm gonna use my left hand to hold this all in place while I'm doing it so that hopefully it won't shift around on me. And I'm just gonna move to the right another stitch, go down through the pig's head, through the back of the blanket, and pull it through. And I'm just gonna continue that process all the way around the ear. When I get around to the fold at the top of the ear, I'm going to come up through the back, kind of where it's folded here. I want this edge to be tacked down. So I'm going to go through those stitches to sew that part flat to the blanket. And then I'm going to place kind of a stitch across the bottom so I can get toward more of the center of the ear. And then I'm going to just kind of move my little flap out of the way. And I'm going to come back and just make sure this back portion that is underneath my fold over is stitched flat. So I'm just going to go under the flap and down. I hope you have fun adding this piglet to a blanket or any other crochet project. Happy crafting!